that is the first idea. Let me wait for one more. Yes, Volkmar, thank you. Thank you all. So apparently the technique is working. So let me again welcome you to our webinar today, The Power of Compelling Goals. Now, talking about goals, my goal for this next 30 minutes is to give you actually an overview of what I've researched the last 10 years, having one question on my mind. What does it take to massively improve the likelihood to achieve our important goals? This was the one question I really thought over and over and over again, and find some intriguing answers. And some of them I would like to share with you during this little webinar we have here today. So I will talk about my most important questions I found out. First of all, the why. Why should we have compelling goals? Then a little bit about the what and what kind of goals do make sense and maybe don't make sense too much. And of course, the how. How can we actually do on a day-to-day basis? How can we achieve our goals? Okay. In the end, I would also like to present you a little gift just for showing up, and I'm really thankful that you take your time on a Friday afternoon. Just like I think Goethe, was it Goethe? I think it was Goethe. 80% of success is just showing up. So thank you in advance for being here with me. And I will give you a little gift in the end for my upcoming seminars and workshops I will have here first in Frankfurt. But let's start right away, and let me quickly switch to my desktop. And we can jump into the importance or the power of compelling goals. Now, I got some feedback from you regarding this little boy. Is this you, Moritz? Well, technically, no. The answer is no, that's not me. Although I have to tell, I look pretty similar. There are some pictures where I look similar. And even with this mimic and gestures, a little bit comparable. But for those of you who don't know me yet, let me very quickly introduce myself. So I'm Moritz Ostwald. And it's my pleasure now in my relatively new function of being a coach and a trainer and an author, what I do since 2.5 years now, to give you these overview of goals, because this is one of my favorite topics. How can I help people to become their best selves? How can these people up their game? So this is my passion, my purpose. And in this function, I'm happy to guide you through the webinar today. Before I did that, what I really love doing, I have to say, I was 12 years in banking and finance, and had there different management positions with larger banking corporations in Canada as well as in Germany. But I have to tell you honestly, this was not really what I really was passionate about. So I figured that out in the 2008, 2009. It took me another year, and then now I'm doing what I really, really love. Coming back to that cute little boy, at least I think he's very cute, and also how philosophical he is, isn't he? Yeah. How old might he be? 1.5, 2? I don't know. And he's asking questions like, do you have clear and compelling goals? And have you written them down? And why do you or don't you have written them down? Yeah, this is quite philosophical, quite advanced, this guy here, this boy. I would like to ask you right away, think about these 3 questions for a moment. What would be your answer? And what would you actually answer if I concretely ask you that question? Which I do right now. And please, if you don't mind, share with me honestly, do you have compelling goals? And I'm just curious what you tell me. Okay, now I get some of the answers. Very interesting. Thank you for participating. 4 of you told me if yes or no. Okay, 5, nice. Just keep going. Very good. Okay, thank you so much for participating here. And one more question. I'm also curious whether, and this is maybe the more difficult question, do you always write down your goals? Always? Yes, no, or sometimes? Please give me some of the ideas here. Excellent. Let me quickly write that down. Okay, it's changing now. Nice. All right, and I think you're curious what the group, our webinar today, had. Okay, the results are for the first question. 66% of our little subgroup here, right? I think we had 10 or 11 tonight, said 66% yes, we have goals. Congratulations on that. And then the second question, 16% said yes, we always write them down. No, 14%, and the remaining, something more than in the 70s, said sometimes we write down our goals. That's very nice. So thanks for sharing that with me. And let's get back to our little presentation here. Oops, wrong direction. So as I told you, I really like to start thinking about goals or issues, and I like to start with the why. Why is it important to have compelling goals? And I did not ask you right now because there's nothing like a yes, no, maybe sometimes. I could talk hours now, of course, we discuss, and it can get philosophical easily, talking about the why, what's the sense, what's the idea, what's the benefit of having these goals for us. Instead of that, I have a story for you, which I would like to share. And anybody, this is just an idea, anybody recognize this building here, which you can see right now? Where this might be, because the story happened there in 1979. Okay, you might type it now, but maybe it's a little bit difficult. And I didn't know this until I researched that either. So this is one of the campuses in Harvard, Boston, Harvard University. And the story, in which for me, more than anything else, explains why it is so beneficial to have goals. The story starts that actually researchers in 1979 approached the MBA class of that year in Harvard. So all of the MBA students have been asked the very same questions I have asked you. Do you have goals? And do you have written them down? And guess what? I mean, we all knew that. Yeah, we are here in the webinar are, of course, better than these 1979 Harvard students. I thought about that, but 83% said, no, we don't have any goals. And also, of course, not specific goals. Then 13% said, yeah, we have goals, but we did not write them down, and those are not really specific. And only 3% said, yes, absolutely, we have goals, we have written them down, and we even have an idea or even an action plan on how to achieve these goals. Just 3%. And this in itself, I think it's quite remarkable. But the very interesting part happened exactly 10 years later, when the same researchers came back to Harvard, or for that sake, they figured out where these MBA students from 79 were residing, and they interviewed them again with regard to their success. Success in a very broad definition, so they ask about their health and their fitness and how happy they are in their relationships, and all kind of these questions, and obviously also about their income level, because it's easily measurable. So they ask all the students actually from 79. And now really comes the kicker, the very interesting point. The 3% who answered that they actually write down goals and they had an action plan on how to achieve them, these 3%, they owned 89, right? 1989, they owned 10 times as much as the 97% combined, all the other students. So 3% earned 10 times as much as the 97% combined. And that is, I think, a very powerful reason for the why it makes sense to write it down, and not only having in our head, and also not to sometimes write it down, but consistently do it and making it a habit. Now, I told you it's a story, and a powerful story, I have to say. The question is this story true? Does these studies happen? And there are some kinds of myths out there in the internet. If you research that, some people believe that this study never has happened. I have got it from one of my mentors, Anthony Robbins, and I think Zig Ziglar and Brian Tracy, some other people, they cite this story. I don't really know whether this story is true or not. But what I do know is that I believe in this story, and I do believe in the power of setting goals appropriately and how to achieve them. And I also do believe that the figures I just mentioned to you are very, very likely to be true and to be accurate. And I'll give you some more ideas during this seminar here, or during the webinar, I should say. Now let's start with, after the why, a little bit of the what's, right? And how we can do that. Let's start about how we can set goals which are compelling and which already increase the likelihood to achieve our goals. This was the basic question I started with 10 years ago. And the one thing is to write them down. Every important goal, to write it down, of course. I do believe that many of you are familiar with the SMART setting formula, SMART goals, to set SMART goals. Let me quickly repeat it for those of you who already are familiar with that, right? So every goal, this is the idea, and I strongly believe in that. Every goal we write down should be formulated in a SMART way. Now, SMART is an acronym, and we can see that here, that there are 5 steps, a minimum of 5 steps, which every goal should comply to. So it should be specific. Yeah, for example, if I have a goal, just thinking about, yeah, let's say I want to lose weight. Now we can even argue here, is this even a goal? I would say it is not even a goal. Not talking about being a SMART goal. It's more a dream, yeah, or a desire, or a nightmare, or whatever you can tell that. But in order to make it a SMART goal, if somebody really wants to lose weight, it should be specific as a start. So being specific, for example, I want to lose 5 kilograms, 6 kilograms, whatever, right? This is specific. In order that a goal is measurable, we definitely need some status quo, right? So where do we start? And actually what I tell you right now and share with you is a personal example. 4 years ago, I had that idea of and the desire to lose some kilogram. I think I was with 86 kilogram at that time, so I could measure it. This was my status quo, and I defined that I do want to weigh between 77 and 80 kilogram. Okay, so this was specific as well. The A in the SMART formula stands for attainable or attractive. Attainable, is this self-attainable? So can I, Moritz, can I attain my goal, or do I need the help of somebody else? If people think about, hey, wouldn't it be a nice goal to have world peace? Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's really desirable, but it's not a very specific or smart goal, I should say, because it's not self-attainable. We need lots and lots of other people here. It's not under our control, right? So every goal should be attainable as well. Then the R stands for relevant or realistic. So every goal needs to be relevant for me, should be attractive, so I really should have some drive to fulfill that. It should be relevant for me, and also realistic. That's another abbreviation in the R SMART formula. Realistic here already is a first hint why I do like the SMART formula, but why I think that by far, really by far, this is just a start to make ourselves, or to increase the likelihood to achieve our important goals. I'll tell you why. Because it has to be realistic. I mean, yeah, if I want to become a millionaire, yeah, then depending from where I start, this might be not that realistic. Or I mean, we all know the joke, how to become the millionaire, right? Yeah, we start with 2 million. Very simple, then it's easy. No, but kidding aside, it should be realistic and not unrealistic. But at the same time, and few people know that or live that. And this would be a recommendation for all of you. When you think about goals, make them huge. Make them, yes, realistic, but also challenging. Make them something, yeah, you will love to achieve, which is a little bit outside of your comfort zone. Make it a stretch goal, yeah, where it's really, which ignites you and excites you to actually achieve this goal during the process. So relevant and realistic, yes, but also challenging. And time-bound, the T, of course, every single goal needs to have an end date. So my goal at that stage was I want to weigh between 77 and 80 kilogram until the end of that year. This was 4 years ago, I think. Now we know we write these goals down, yeah, and we have even the SMART formula followed, which is pretty simple. I think you will agree with me. Now take a deep breath and voila! Ha! We are in the promised land. We are in the top 3%, and we are the overachievers, the top performers. We will be filthy rich. Isn't that great? Wow, if you ask me. Well, we missed something along the way, right? Don't we? If we just go into our common sense corner for a few moments, can that really be true? Is it really that simple? Just to follow a few simple steps, write goals down, make them smart, and we believe we do achieve all our goals? Well, I guess we all have experienced that, unless you would chat with me and say, "No, it's exactly that's the truth." I don't believe in that. I really believe there are lots of more factors, lots of more influences, and from a holistic perspective, way more factors which have a direct impact on our likelihood to achieve goals or not. And there are differences between these people who seems to really succeed in every single goal. And we all know some of our role models probably, or some of celebrities or even business leaders who and even apparently seems to achieve their goals quite effortlessly. I can tell you it appears to be sometimes, but most of the people, really successful people I know, they have a very good strategy behind it. And it's more than just following a smart rules, right? So maybe not yet in the promised land. So I studied the last 5, 6 years most intensely, and especially the last 2.5 years when I was exclusively dealing with my coaches and helping them to succeed. And I researched a lot. And I think I found very good answers. What else do we need to really succeed in our important goals? And the key to success for me is that before we go into the goal setting, goal achieving phase, we actually learn more about who we are. Who am I? What's my identity? What are my values? What do I value most in my life? For example, what are my beliefs? What do I believe in? What are my limiting beliefs, which maybe are holding me back from following through certain goals? What are my empowering beliefs? What is easy for me, right? What are my strengths? And all that. So to learn much more about myself. And once I become more aware, and more clarity on who I am, it is way more easy to align all that and to actually align our outcomes, which is just another word, and I think a more powerful word than goals or results, but to actually align our outcomes with who we are. Yeah, to avoid all these confusion on the left-hand side, if we just, dive into the nitty-gritty details, into the how, what we can do once we know a goal. People do that, and I realize that, but what happens is that very often, we make a to-do list. Wow, we have a to-do list, fantastic. We write that down, what we want to do today, tomorrow. So we have lots of to-do lists for every day, for every week. And I don't know about you, but a few years ago, I had plenty of lists all over the place, in my office, at home, at the refrigerator, basically all over the place. Post-its, even worse. So lots and lots of ideas and action steps, what I should do. And what happened? At least I get stressed. And I see it with lots of my coaches. They also feel they have a high stress level. And why is that? And what can we do against that? Actually, to know better, to become aware who we are and what we really want from our lives. And then it's so much easier to align our goals and our outcomes to that. Now, that sounds overly simplistic, and I realize that at this stage. So what I did, I dig deeper and came up with some more guidelines, which are still simple to use, because I realize we can talk hours and days about the most sophisticated strategies, but they have to be simple to apply, right? It has to be really easy. And I think the SMART formula, this is why it is, even though it's not really half the way we can go with it. It's very simple, so people use it, which is fantastic. If there's only one thing for our today's webinar I would like you to remember, it is this. And whenever you think about goals, and write them down, hopefully, right? From now on, for those of you who didn't, think about setting goals is a smart move. Make a smart move every time you think about goals. Smart we talked about, and move, let me quickly explain. I came up with the 4 move rules, right? To have, the M stands for move, having a limited amount of important goals, so not having too many. That is simply said, like if you think about Pareto, 80-20, if you identify the 20% of your most important goals, you have probably achieved 80% of your success already. So really get rid of some of the goals you really don't need, and which do not support your values and your beliefs. The O stands for your own. That's very important. Make all goals your own goals. And if these are not your own goals, and you get it from your spouse, from your boss, or from somebody else, then make them your own and commit to it. Say, yes, I'm committed. I will achieve these goals. Otherwise, already on this simple stage, you will sabotage yourself. And if you're not aware of it, probably your subconscious mind will have some tricks to sabotage not reaching that goal because it's simply not your own. And the V in the move rules, the V stands for the values. And this, I figured out, is the most important driving factor which can really stop us from following through or can empower us to really achieve these goals. Because every single goal we have needs to support our most important inner values. And the E, lastly, stands for exclusive, that actually goals in a similar area. For example, if I want to lose weight, it's the health and fitness area I have. That's a great goal. We can follow that. But if I have another conflicting goal, this is why they should be exclusive. For example, I also want to gain strength, so I have to go to the gym, right? And put a long story short here, it is conflicting just because if I want to gain strength, the muscles, they are heavier, they weigh more than my fat actually. So I really have an issue here. Do I want to lose weight or do I want to gain strength? Just a quick example. So whenever you think about setting goals and later on achieve these goals, thinking about just simply making a smart move. Now, so far about the why, I hope I could give you the idea why it is so important to have goals, how they can look like, or also what kind of goals you can have, that they should be aligned with your values and beliefs and who you are. Let us quickly talk about also the how. Because most of the people, of course, they need some guidance in their daily, day-to-day business. So how can they do that? And what you see here seems like a very complex Excel spreadsheet. It is not, I can tell you. It maybe looks like it in the beginning, but like everything, once you start using it, it's very, very powerful tool and also simple to use. I would like to focus on 3 columns here mostly. And this is the B, C, and D column. And I titled it the what, why, and how. It's a spreadsheet I developed not long ago, a few months ago. Is it based on the RPM technology from Anthony Robbins, basically, who in itself, I figured out, had the so far best strategy to deal with goal setting, goal achieving, and actually align them with everything I told you before. So we start with the what is my goal? And I figured out that publishing an ebook is a great goal for me. Many people from there on love to dive into the details, right? So directly after the what comes the how. You know? So what are the details? What can I do? What are my action steps? Wow, take a deep breath. And I could highly, highly encourage you not to do this mistake. But first, look at column C, the why, your purpose. Why do you absolutely need to succeed with your goal? Why have you set that goal, that specific goal? And why do you not should achieve it? Why do you make it a must? So I listed here in that example 5 powerful purposes why I really need to do that. Now, why is that possible, or why is that important? Why would I recommend that for you? Because during the time, and maybe a goal is a longer term, a larger goal, it takes some time to achieve it. We have lots of action steps. And from time to time, we get stressed, right? We get obstacles. Things are changing, and many people, of course, I myself as well, of course, we get stressed, and sometimes we lose sight on the goal. And the number one thing what we can do then is, if we made that before, we wrote all that down, we have the purpose in front of us. We can just look at the purpose. Why we initially set that goal, we immediately get motivated again, we get on track or back on track again, and it's so much easier to concentrate on the details because we really know why we do that. And then we can go into the how section. MAP stands for the Massive Action Plan. So in this example, it's just 4 ideas, but I tell you, for the publishing an ebook, I had 25 action steps defined, very detailed, to really achieve my goal. And then the other columns, of course, until when, it has to be timely. Who, maybe we can find a leverage, maybe we can outsource certain activities, how much time we will spend on that. And then you see, it's, I think, H until U, or the Q, the smart move again. Simply, at that stage, black and white, yes or no, is it smart, is it specific? For example, if we look at B, so my publishing ebook, B as massive action step plan, develop additional chapters and fine-tuning. Is this specific? No, it's not. So I have not ticked it in the yes box for smart. Is it measurable? Oh yes, because at that stage I knew how much I already have written and what I else have to do. So on and on and on, we can see, is it really smart, a smart move for this specific action step? And later on, there's some more. So A stands for is it attractive for me? Yeah. B, is it in alliance or in alliance with my belief system? And C, is it challenging? Is it a challenging goal for me? Yes or no? So this simple sheet can help you after it became a habit. And I realize that in the beginning it might look a little bit frightening here, but really it's a simple thing you can use on a daily or weekly basis. And as a little gift, I'm happy to share that with everybody. Just drop me an email later on and say you're interested, and I give you a blank sheet you can use, and you can try using that on the how level for yourself. Obviously, I realize this looks complicated, and the whole process, we had a half an hour today. Of course, I just can give you some ideas on what I figured out these last 5 to 10 years, really with that one question in mind: how can we increase the likelihood to achieve our important goals? And I hope to give you some good answers on why we should do that, on what it is, what we can do, and just briefly here, and you still see that on the slide, on the hows. Now, since we only have half an hour, it's just an idea and maybe some new ideas for you with that. What I would like to let you go here tonight into a fantastic weekend is that if you're interested to dig deeper here, I have developed a whole day workshop, a whole day seminar, which starts on March the 2nd here in Frankfurt in English language, and March 23rd machen wir das Ganze auf Deutsch, in deutscher Sprache. And during this workshop, I call it the Breakthrough Workshop, where I really want my participants to break through their limiting beliefs, their old habits maybe, what was in the way to not follow through to achieve their important goals. We will talk about much more details, not talk, but make hands-on exercises on what are my values, what are my beliefs, yeah, how can I align all that after I figured out who I am to actually make them in line with my really important goals, results, or outcomes of my life. So I called that workshop the Breakthrough Workshop. Yeah, make 2013, for example, your breakthrough year. And if you're interested, there is a website right now. You should see that, livelifefull.com/breakthrough. My English teacher would now say, well, look at the TH, little boy. I always had issues with that. So /breakthrough. If you put that in your browser, you can see more information on what the idea is for that very intense workshop. What I would like to give you and leave you with, and I said that in the beginning, I would like to give you a gift just for showing up and spending this half an hour with me here. And if you're interested, and if you really said, okay, March 2nd or March 23rd, that's good, and it's really interesting for me, and I will learn a lot for myself, I would like to give the first 2 participants, the first 2 of you here right now on that webinar who click on the link, and if you order your ticket, for the first 2, I would like to give you as a gift 1 hour of free coaching, live coaching session with me, either in person or via telephone or Skype, wherever you are, after that workshop. So this alone is a price tag right now for the 1 hour. I charge 200 euros, but just for you, because I really want you to succeed. And as my thank you, and I'm really grateful that you're with me here on that journey, if you decide to be my guest at one of these workshops, I give the first 2 of you a 1 hour of free coaching session. Now, let me officially thank you once more for spending the time with me here on that afternoon, and I hope that you get some better ideas and maybe some even motivation for you to try the one or the other thing. And if there's nothing else you will remember a few days later, please just try to really write down your goals. And if you then also remember to make a smart move, yeah, specific, measurable, attractive, realistic, timely, and let your goals also be not too many, make them your own, in line with your values, and exclusively. If you only do that, I could almost guarantee you will massively increase your likelihood to achieve your goals. So thank you so much for being with me again. And if you have any questions, because I want to stay in time, half an hour right now, please drop me an email. I'm happy to communicate with you, if I have answers for you, to answer that later on. Just drop me an email later on. Have an awesome, magnificent weekend, and talk to you later.